Hi, everyone.
Hi, Miss Red.
Hi, Miss Lynn.
How's everyone doing?
Fine, thank you.
Fine, Alhamdulillah.
Good, alhamdulillah. Okay, before we go to grammar today, we'll continue with a little more poetry. I know you love it. So we'll start on page 715 in your book. And the first poem that we're going to read is known as a ballad. W.H. Auden was a modern poet, but he used a traditional ballad form for "Oh, what is that sound?" A ballad is a narrative poem that is meant to be sung or recited. Typically, a traditional ballad focuses on a single tragic event and usually implies more than it tells explicitly. A ballad typically includes a setting, plot, and characters. It also includes dialogue and repetition, and it has a regular and simple rhyme scheme, commonly A-B, 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 C-B, or A-A-B-B. Originally meant to be spoken or sung, poetry has a musical quality you won't always find in prose. This is no accident. Poets use various sound devices to create rhythm and mood and to emphasize ideas in their poems. In Oh, What Is That Sound? W.H. Auden uses the following sound devices to help create suspense and meaning as well as melody. Rhyme, similar sounds at the ends of lines, that's known as in rhyme, or similar sounds within the lines, which is known as internal rhyme. Repetition, of course, most of you know that these are words or phrases that are repeated, such as in this poem, drumming, drumming. Assonance, repetition of vowel sounds within words that don't rhyme, only soldiers. You can see the O here, okay? As you read this poem, look for examples of sound devices and notice how they help create a feeling of anxiety. Let's read a little bit about the poet. His name is W.H. Auden. He was born in 1907 and he died in 1973. He was known for controversy. He was a very controversial poet, and he was also admired by many people. W.H. Auden is one of the giants of 20th century poetry. Born in northern England, he first intended to study science, but soon realized his talent for poetry. His early poems, among them, Oh, What Is That Sound?, attracted both admiration and controversy. Perhaps Auden's most controversial act was moving to New York in 1939. He ultimately became a US citizen. Some Englishmen never forgave him for leaving his country on the eve of World War II. In his poetry, Auden confronted the tumultuous ideas and events that rocked his age. Freudian psychology, Marxism, fascism, civil war, and world war. In winning the national media for literature in 1967, he was praised for illuminating our lives and times with grace, wit, and vitality. After the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001, websites and New York subway walls displayed two of his finest poems, Musée des Beaux-Arts and September 1st, 1939. Just to give you a little background on this poem, the references to drums, horses, and the red uniforms of soldiers in Oh, What Is That Sound? Suggest a faraway time, perhaps around the time of the American Revolution War. However, the poem was written in the 1930s, a decade that Auden called the age of anxiety. Frightened by worldwide economic depression and the rise of fascism in Italy and Germany, ordinary citizens felt vulnerable to events beyond their control. Remember, this poem is a ballad. Oh, What Is That Sound by W.H. Auden. I'm going to read it. I want you to pay attention because I will call on you to explain each stanza. Oh, what is that sound which so thrills the ear? Down in the valley, drumming, drumming. Only the scarlet soldiers, dear, the soldiers coming. Oh, what is that light I see flashing so clear? Over the distance, brightly, brightly. Only the sun on their weapons, dear, as they step lightly. Oh, what are they doing with all that gear? What are they doing this morning, this morning? Only their usual maneuvers, dear, or perhaps a warning. Oh, why have they left the road down there? Why are they suddenly wheeling? Perhaps a change in their orders, dear. Why are you kneeling? Oh, haven't they stopped for the doctor's care? Haven't they reined their horses, Why, they are none of them wounded, dear. None of their forces, none of these forces. Oh, is it the parson they want with white hair? Is it the parson? Is it? No, they are passing his gateway, dear, without a visit. Oh, it must be the farmer who lives so near. It must be the farmer so cunning, so cunning. They have passed the farmyard already, dear, and now they are running. Oh, where are you going? Stay with me here. Were the vows you swore deceiving? No, I promised to love you, dear, but I must be leaving. Oh, it's broken the lock and splintered the door. Oh, it's the gate where they're turning. Their boots are heavy on the floor and their eyes are burning. Okay, by now you should have a good idea of what the poem is about. Who exactly is speaking in the poem? Who wants to take the first stanza? All right, Laura.
I'll try. So he's saying that he can hear some sounds from somewhere, and the sounds are coming from the soldiers, and this maybe the sound is like they're practicing for a war, something like that.
Okay, how many people are speaking?
One.
Really? Read it.
It's two.
It's two people speaking. This is the first person. Oh, what is that sound which so thrills the ear? Down in the valley, drumming. The second person in all the stanzas always answer. Only the scarlet soldiers, dear, the soldiers coming. Hannah, would you like to add something to it?
Yes, when he says the first person which thrills the sound that which so thrills the ear, and down in the valley drumming, it's referring to like the marching of the soldiers, and they're he's so thrilled to hear it because like they're coming back. And then the other person answers, only the scarlet soldiers, dear, the soldiers coming. Scarlet is referring to like because like they came from war and they have blood all over them.
Okay, scarlet soldiers or the British soldiers, okay? They have red uniforms.
Oh, okay, sorry.
No, that's okay. I was letting everyone know. So the first one asked, what is that sound? The second person tells, it's the soldiers coming. Has anyone figured out who the speakers are? Okay, it's all right. It might be a little too early. All right. Adam, can you take the second stanza?
Okay, miss. 1 second. he sees some sort of light over the distance, but then he realizes that it's the sun that is shining on their weapons as they sleep tightly with each other.
Okay. So Adam, look at the first speaker. How would you describe this first speaker? What seems to be the problem?
There is a strange light that is flashing, and he doesn't know where it is from.
Okay, but what can you tell from this person? Any idea? Laura, can you help?
I saw that from the first two stanzas, he keeps asking questions and he's quite interested. What's happening outside?
I wouldn't use the word interested. What's a better word, Debelina?
He's thrilled.
He's what?
Thrilled.
I can't hear you, baby. I'm so sorry.
He's thrilled.
Ahmed, what do you say?
He's calm.
He's
Yeah.
what?
And in that situation, he had to be afraid from soldier going to war and this stuff, but he's calm at this point.
Okay, who's calm, the first speaker or the second?
The second speaker.
Okay, what about the first speaker?
The first speaker isn't hopeful and he's just feeling danger.
Yes, he seems to, or she, or he seems to be very anxious and
In a state of
concerned.
fear.
Because if you notice in every stanza that the first speaker is asking questions continuously. The second person is having to what? Reassure this other person. Okay, thank you, Adam. All right, Ahmed, Uta, can you take the third stanza?
Yeah, true. In the third stanza, the first speaker assuring that he's in a state of fear. Therefore, the first voice is growing in despair about what's going in this morning. However, the second speaker remained hopeful, and he's just saying that perhaps this is not a state of attack, and assure is not a real attack. And this way, the second speaker assures that these companions are not in danger.
Right, he says,
to remain calm in their houses.
Right, he says they're just doing their usual maneuvers, which are training exercises, okay? Now, Ahmed, tell me this. From this line right here, who do you think the first and second people are?
Who is the first and the second?
Yes, I want you to look at the line right here that I have highlighted. There's something in that line can tell you.
Dear, it's like a wife and
yes, that's exactly right. So we know it's either a wife or maybe a mother, most likely a wife, okay? Thank you, Ahmed. Good job. All right, the next one. Oh, why have they left the road down there? Why are they suddenly willing? Perhaps a change in their orders, dear. Why are you kneeling? You can see here that willing means turning around quickly so as to face in the opposite direction. But Mika, will you take that stanza, please? But Mika, can you hear me? Hannah Yasser, can you take this one?
Yes, of course, Muslim. Hello?
Yes.
The
go
one
ahead.
with the last stanza,
Yes.
of course. It says like, why have they left the road down there? Why are they suddenly wheeling? That's like the first person. He's asking, like, why are they leaving in like marching? When they're marching, like, but wheeling like fast. They're marching fast, and then the
Okay.
second person answers, perhaps a change in their orders, dear. Why are you kneeling? It asks. She says, I mean, like the second person answers, like maybe they have their orders were changed, like something happened and like they have to change their routes or like walk faster. And then she
Okay.
asks him, why are you kneeling?
Okay.
He's like on the ground. Yes.
Hannah, the first two sentences,
Yes.
is this a male or female?
The male.
No, it's a female.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought
No, it's
the first person
okay.
was the male.
Because I wanted to
Sorry.
explain to everyone. See, here he says, perhaps a change in their orders, dear. Why are you kneeling? Why was she kneeling, Hannah?
She was kneeling because she was-
Can anyone tell me? Suddenly they see the soldiers turn around quickly, okay? And she says, why are they suddenly wheeling? And he answers, perhaps their superior has changed their orders. And then he says to her, why are you kneeling? Tell me what you think.
Okay, I have like something, but I'm not sure if it's right. Can I say it?
Yes, we're waiting.
Sorry. She is kneeling because like she thinks like she they are like perhaps heading to war, and like their lives would be in danger. So like she's like she in- like when you suddenly like hear some fearful news that or you like kneel on the ground, like,
Why?
because like she has someone in the army. I mean, in the like the
Guys, listen to me.
soldiers.
Develina, do you know?
So,
To protect herself.
Hannah Hanning.
Miss, can I try?
Hannah Hanning?
Yeah, I think she's kneeling. Yes,
Go ahead, baby.
I think she's kneeling because she's praying.
Yes, thank you, Hannah. When you kneel, you are praying. She is very afraid, guys. And all of a sudden he looks at her and he says, why are you kneeling? Because she's so afraid she has started to pray. Okay? All right, the next stanza. Oh, haven't they stopped for the doctor's care? Haven't they reined their horses, Why, they are none of them wounded, dear. None of these forces. All right, Hannah, can you take this one? Hannah Hanning,
Yes, miss.
can
Yes,
you take
miss.
this one, baby?
Yes. Though I think the wife is answering him for his question. That she's saying that she is praying because they stop for the doctor's care and they rein their horses.
Right.
So her husband respond to her again, and he says, they are none of them is injured.
Right.
That's it.
Good job, Hannah. She said, oh,
Thank you.
haven't they stopped for the doctor's care? Haven't they reined their horses? He says, why, none of them are wounded, dear. None of these forces. Any questions so far? All right, the next stanza. Oh, is it the parson they want with white hair? Is it the parson? Is it? No, they are passing his gateway, dear, without a visit. The parson is the person, the man during this time that is over the church, okay? So now she thinks what? Abdullah, take this stanza, please.
Yeah, Shams. Oh, haven't they stopped for the doctor's care? Haven't they reined their horses? Their horses.
No, you're on the wrong stanza. The next one, this one.
Okay. Oh, is it the person they want with white hair? Is it the person? Is it? No, they're passing his gateway, dear, without a visit.
Stop and think. If you're in a battle or during a war, if you need the parson, which is the man over the church, what does that usually mean? That a soldier has what? Who can tell me? No one knows. Come on, guys, put on your thinking caps.
Why do they need a religious man?
I'm sorry, Ahmed.
Why do they need the person?
That's what I'm asking you. During a war, if someone needs a man from a church, okay, a holy man anywhere, what does that usually mean?
To pray because they're going into a war?
Because they've been injured or killed, right?
Yes.
She thinks, you remember the previous stanza? She asked, oh, do they need a doctor's care? Why have they stopped their horses? And he tells them, none of them are wounded. And then she goes on to say, oh, is it the parson they want with white hair? He says, no, dear, they are just passing by his gate without a visit. In other words, they're not stopping at the parson's house. Everything's okay. Does everyone understand?
Yes.
Okay. The next stanza. Oh, it must be the farmer who lives so near. It must be the farmer, so cunning, so cunning. They have passed the farmyard already, dear, and now they are running. Who can explain this? Guys, if you don't try, I'm going to give you a lot of poetry homework today. You have to at least try.
Can I try?
Yes.
First, the wife think that the soldier didn't visit the person house and they were going actually to the farmer house.
What's wrong with this farmer, Ahmed?
He's cunning.
Yes, what does cunning mean?
I don't know.
Who can tell me what cunning means? Hannah Yasser?
Extremely smart and sneaky.
Yes, extremely smart, but very sneaky, okay? So she says, oh, it must be the farmer who lives so near. It must be the farmer so cunning, so cunning. And he goes on to tell him what, Ahmed?
That they have passed the farmyard already.
Right.
He starts lying about that they weren't going to the farmer and they were just only pacing up.
Right, because now he sees them doing what?
Running.
Running. Now, when they start running, you notice this is going to change the conversation a little. All right. Oh, where are you going? Stay with me here. Were the vows you swore deceiving? No. I promise to love you, dear, but I must be leaving. Farah Malab, can you take this one?
So the second speaker is leaving. So the first speaker is asking where is she going and asking her to stay.
Asking him.
Asking him to stay.
What does this mean, Farah? What is this? What kind of vows? Do you know?
No.
Wedding vows. She's telling him, oh, where are you going? Stay here with me. Were the vows you swore deceiving? And his answer is, no, I promise to love you, dear, but I must be leaving. You understand better, Farah?
Yes, but I don't understand why he's leaving.
I'm going to explain right now. Remember the previous stanza. He notices that they are now running. They're running because he knows they're fixing to have a battle, okay? So when he figures this out after he sees them running, he runs to join them to help fight the battle. And she panics here. Why aren't you staying with me? You promised to love me forever. And he said, yes, I do love you, but I have to leave. In other words, I love you. It doesn't mean I don't love you anymore, but I have to go and fight the war. Everyone understand?
Yeah.
Now, the last stanza. Oh, it's broken the lock and splintered the door. Oh, it's the gate where they're turning. Their boots are heavy on the floor and their eyes are burning. I want you to figure this out and I want someone to try and tell me. Oh, it's broken the lock and splintered the door. Oh, it's the gate where they're turning. Their boots are heavy on the floor and their eyes are burning.
Or the soldiers were first aiming to their house?
Yes, exactly right. After he runs and leaves her, okay, then it ends up a platoon of these soldiers breaks down their door, okay, and enters their home. And he or she is describing that their boots were heavy on the floor and their eyes are burning, okay? Any questions about this point?
No.
The soldier entered their house?
Yes, the soldiers entered their house. Now, if you stop and think about it, Hannah, when we first read the poem, we feel like that maybe she's being a little paranoid or maybe she's overreacting because she keeps asking all these questions and he keeps reassuring her. But in the end, actually, she had a right to be concerned. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, because it ended up after he left her to go and help the soldiers, they broke into her house and she describes what happens. Okay, all right. The next two poems, one of these is my all-time favorite poem. The names of these poems are The 7 Ages of Man and The Road Not Taken. A dramatic monologue is a poem in which the speaker addresses a silent or absent listener as if engaged in a private conversation. The speaker often reveals his or her own feelings, attitudes, motivations, and character traits in a moment of high intensity or deep emotion. The 7 Ages of Man is an example of a dramatic monologue. It is delivered by a character in Shakespeare's play, As You Like It. Okay? Rhythm is the pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables in a line of poetry. Rhythm that follows a regular pattern from line to line is called meter. The following lines from Shakespeare uses a very even meter. And it gives you an example here. Okay, I want you to notice it. I don't expect you to know all this, guys, but I do want you to notice what it means. In the next example from Frost, Robert Frost is his name. Note that the number of accents is the same in each line, but the rhythm varies slightly. Now, these are all these little marks that you could tell where to put emphasis on words in a poem. Why bother to use meter? For the same reasons that a songwriter bothers to use music. It sounds nice, it's easy to remember, and it allows for extra emphasis of words or phrases. Read the following poems aloud and tap your foot as you go. Is the meter obvious or subtle? Is it close to normal speech? Where does the emphasis fall in each line? Okay. I want you, if time runs out, when we come back, we're going to come back to the points. All right, Jacques, right here, in The Seven Ages of Man, written by William Shakespeare. Jacques was a character in the play that I just told you about, titled As You Like It. Okay, so that's who Jacques is. And Jacques says, and you might have heard these first lines, the first words I'm going to read. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. At first, the infant, mewling and puking in the nurse's arms, and then the whining schoolboy with his satchel and shining morning face, creeping like snail, unwilling to go to school, unwilling to school. And then the lover, sighing like furnace with a woeful ballad, made to his mistress's eyebrow. Then a soldier, full of strange oaths and bearded like the pard, jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation, even in the cannon's mouth. And then the justice, and fair round belly with good capone lint, with eyes severe and beard of formal cut, full of wise saws and modern instances. And so he plays his part. The 6th age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and pouch on side, his youthful hose well saved, a world too wide. For his shrunk shank and his big manly voice, turning again toward childish treble, pipes and whistles in his sound. Last scene of all that ends this strange, eventful history is second childlessness and mere oblivion. Sans teeth, sans eyes, sans taste, sans everything. When we come back, I want you to be ready to explain this poem to me, okay? This next one is my all-time favorite. It's called The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry, I could not travel both. And be one traveler, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other, as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that, the passing there had warned them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day. Yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Okay, we only have a couple minutes left. And as I said, when we come back, I want us to go through and analyze first the 7 ages of man. I would like for you to think about both of the poems. Both of these poems have meaning that all of you should be able to figure out today, okay? It applies to all of our lives. So when we come back, we'll continue with this, okay? Any questions so far?
No, Miss.
Okay, I'll end this session and then we'll return for the other session, okay?